Last month I noticed that something is off with my boyfriend. He was being too nice recently, like cleaning up his dirty dishes and being attentive to my needs. I would have thought this was a good thing if only I haven't caught him waking up in the middle of the night and leaving the house. I tried waiting for him to come back, but I fell asleep after some time, and the next thing I knew, he was back in bed with me. That morning it clicked on me like I found all the pieces to the puzzle. That's why he was acting so nice. And recently, I would admit that we haven't had some sex, and I thought he just wasn't in the mood. Now I know why. He was having an affair. I was furious and heartbroken. I told my best friend Natalie all about it, and she was as heartbroken as me. She kept asking if I was sure about it. I mean, what other explanation it could be? He'll be gone the whole night, and he'll be back in the morning. What did he do? Buy some milk? I said to her that I have a plan. I'm gonna wake up before he does and catch him red-handed. My best friend just nodded and said that was a good idea. That night, my boyfriend prepared a nice meal for me, something he hadn't before, and I was mildly surprised. I pretended not to know anything about his infidelity, so our conversation went normally. However, when we finally settled back in bed, I had fallen asleep almost instantaneously. My sleep was so good that I wasn't able to wake up at midnight. I was disappointed with myself. How could I have slept on it? What's weird was in the following nights that kept happening to me. I couldn't wake up in the middle of the night. I also tried staying up all night, but at some point I would fall asleep. That is very unusual since I have been a night shift employee before, and I didn't have this kind of trouble of suddenly falling asleep. Sometimes I couldn't even remember what happened last night. My crazy brain thought maybe my BF was drugging me, putting something to make me sleep through the night. That's the only possible explanation I could think of. But then I asked myself, how did he know about my plan? My heart sank as I realized the answer to my question. Natalie, my best friend, I couldn't believe it. Why would she betray me? Is she my BF's lover? At this point, I was intoxicated with anger. I skipped dinner and only drank water from tap. I made sure none of my BF's drugs would reach me. My boyfriend was even persistent that I should eat or at least drink some milk. To me, that was a confirmation that he was indeed drugging me. I was about to confront him about his infidelity right then and there, but I felt a blunt force hit me at the back of my head and I was out. When I came to, I was tied up in bed, and my BF was watching me at the corner of our bedroom. He was biting his lips and was pale as a sheet. "What is this?" I asked him. His eyes lit up when he saw me awake. He then ran to our living room and called for someone. My heart sank as I saw who it was. "It was Natalie," I yelled immediately after seeing her. "It was you. How fucking dare you?" I shouted at her. Natalie asked me to calm down. "It's not what you think," she kept repeating. "I'm gonna kill you both when I get out of here." I kept trying to free myself, but to no avail. They used some of the thickest rope I've seen. "Babe, listen to me," my boyfriend said. "I'm not cheating on you. And certainly Natalie and I have no romantic relationship. I get out of bed every night because I need to stay safe." "Stay safe?" I asked. "Stay safe from what?" "From you," he answered quickly. "What?" "Jace, it's near 3. We should get out of here," Natalie whispered. My boyfriend then took out a paint bucket and painted my hands and legs with red paint. I squirmed and yelled as he did it in a hurry. All the while I was thinking, who is this person? Is this really my boyfriend? How could he do all of this to me? As if he could hear my thoughts, he kissed my forehead and said, "You'll understand everything tomorrow, I promise," before I could reply. He and Natalie ran away and I was all alone in our bedroom. I kept screaming for help, but I knew it was pointless. My mind was racing as fast as my heartbeat. My lungs felt like it was shrinking as I breathed for air. No, no, no. How could they do this to me? Why are they doing this? I kept trying to free myself, but I got exhausted at some point and lost consciousness. Before I could reply, he and Natalie ran away, and I was all alone in our bedroom. I kept screaming for help, but I knew it was pointless. My mind was racing as fast as my heartbeat. My lungs felt like it was shrinking as I breathed for air. No, no, no. How could they do this to me? Why are they doing this? I kept trying to free myself, but I got exhausted at some point and lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was still in bed. But I noticed that the ropes that bound me last night were now roughly severed, and my wrist burned like hell. As I looked around the room, I understood Jace. The floor, the walls, and the ceiling as well were full of red handprints. My handprints. To the next story. So about 8 years ago, 26F at the time, I was living in Ireland with my husband and 2 babies. I wanted to go back up home to see my family and took my kids with me. 3 millions and 1.5 Fahrenheits. My younger brother still lived at home, so me and my 2 children stayed in the spare room. Me and my son in a double bed, and the baby in a cot across the room opposite the bed. I was fast asleep one night and woke to the sound of the house phone ringing downstairs. When I opened my eyes, the bedroom door was open, and the light from the bathroom down the hall shone through, revealing a figure leaning round the door. One hand holding the door like curved around it, and the head and a bit of shoulder leaning in. The head looked at me, then turned to look at the cot, then back to me. I could see the light switch slightly through it. I closed my eyes tight and thought I was seeing something, still half asleep. The phone stopped ringing, and I had my eyes closed for maybe 6-10 seconds. When I opened them again, it was still there, the head looking over and back between the cot and my bed. I could feel my stomach flipping and again shut my eyes tight. I kept my eyes closed this time for a good 20 seconds. When I opened them, the door was left open and it was gone. Just to note, I always kept the door shut because of my 3-year-old. It was a tough door to open because the latch stuck out a little, so it needed a bit of a bang. I got up and peered around the door, nothing there. I listened at my parents' door, but there was silence. I opened the door, both asleep. I figured they came to check on me and kids. I realized I would have heard them walking back to bed because I figured out every creak in the floor as a teen. I went to my brother's room and he was also asleep, but I woke him and asked if he came in to check on us, and he said no, and got freaked out when I told him what happened. Next was the house phone. I went downstairs and checked the last number to call. It was my husband. I called him and he was sleepy, confused, and freaked as he thought something was wrong. He didn't call me. I checked the time. It was about 3:40, so maybe all this happened between 3:15 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. I still don't know what this was, and I'm interested to see if it's happened to anyone else. Currently, I'm living in my grandparents' house. They both passed away in the past 2 years. Often when I'm doing something, I get the feeling like one of my kids has walked in the room, and I'll be talking to them. Then when I turn around, they're there. I know this bit isn't scary, it's just strange to have that feeling.